All right, Guido, thank you so much for being on today's episode. This is exciting for me and for Boost as we launch this new podcast, which here in a moment we're going to have you talk about your background and what you're excited about in terms of the new podcast that we're launching called the Ophthalmology Experience, which you're going to be hosting. Before I kind of dive into a whole series of questions about you, I thought I would share with our guests kind of what who Boost is, who I am, and why we're so excited to have you hosting this podcast. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Cool. All right. Well, for those of you who don't know, my name is Cade Wilcox, and I'm the CEO of Boost Patients. And what Boost does is pretty simple and straightforward. We work with clinics and we solve a really acute pain point, and that is we follow up with all of your new patient leads. So we use a combination of technology and our own staff, what we call patient concierge agents. And so when your new leads come into your clinic, we're the ones following up with our technology and with our people. And because we're so aggressive, because we're so consistent, because of the program we've built out, we're able to drive up consultations and therefore help clinics increase their surgery volume. So we really enjoyed being in the ophthalmology space. I've onboarded about 12 to 15 clients since May 1st of 2024, just kind of depending on when you listen to this episode. But we've really fallen in love with ophthalmology and are quite excited about it. Guido, I just got back from AAO in Chicago, had about 20 meetings, and I don't know, I just really enjoy the folks who work in the refractive space, both practice managers, the physicians, even a lot of the partners and other kind of ancillary companies within the space. It's just really enjoyable to get to know so many people. And so Boost is glad to be one of those folks and really excited about our future in ophthalmology. So with that, Guido, I want to get to know you, and I want to introduce you to our audience and have you kind of talk about the podcast. So let's start by going all the way back to the beginning. So how did you get into ophthalmology? What was your initial kind of entry into the industry? Just give us your entire background in the ophthalmology space.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Cade. I think as you mentioned, the ophthalmology space it's pretty cool. It's cool to go to meetings like AO because you can meet a lot of cool people, and in the world and the industry of ophthalmology, it is a big world. It's also a small world. There's a lot of people that you form connections with, and you get to meet cool people, like you and I have met recently, and just have the opportunity to get together and share with each other. So that's really what I love about ophthalmology. Like, how did I get into this space? I mean, honestly, I just kind of fell into ophthalmology. I didn't really pick ophthalmology. And so when I got out of school, out of my undergrad, I started working for the UT Health Science Center in IT. So I graduated September 11th. I graduated 2001. I graduated December of 2001. So when I graduated, the job market wasn't a very fruitful place, let's just say. And so I took a job in the UT Health Science Center, and literally I was in a computer lab just ordering computers for the school with an undergrad degree, just trying to figure out, I need to get a job somewhere. So I got into the IT world and the healthcare space, really started to kind of make my way and just prove myself, as I've kind of done my entire career, just even starting from getting right out of high school. And the approach that I take is just, I like to call myself an amoeba. And when I coach my staff, I said, you know what, you just need to be an amoeba. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, the people around you, just suck them up and don't be afraid to ask questions. Taking that approach, I really started to make my way in the tech field and healthcare. And then just by chance, one of the security information officer for the university knew Dr. Mann and said, hey, we're looking for an IT director. And so he referred me, and then the rest is history. And so I came over to ophthalmology as an IT guy, right? And so, there was a lot, and that was in 2006. So I've been in ophthalmology for about 18 years. And the world was a lot different back then, especially, in the world of ophthalmology when I was going into the practice. I didn't really know much about how things worked, and what was LASIK, and what's all these things that the doctors are doing. It was really a lot of information, and I felt like I was drinking from a fire hydrant a lot. But again, I took that same, I'm just going to suck it up, like suck up information from everyone around
Yeah.
me. And I took that approach, and was able to I guess impress them enough, because they invited me to lunch. The executive director and Dr. Mann invited me to lunch, say, hey, do you want to take your hand at managing a clinic? And I said, managing a clinic? I was like, okay, sure, I'll give it a shot. I was like, as long as y'all help me. And they said, of course, we'll support you. And so, I started managing one of our largest clinics. And coming into it, I really didn't know. Like I said, I was really fresh, and I was only exposed to the things that I had been exposed to in my current capacity. But I took the approach that I think when I had my first staff meeting here at one of the largest locations that I had, the one that they gave me, I had a staff meeting. I said, hey, look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm going to have to learn a lot, and I'm going to have to really lean on you all to help me. There's some things that I can help bring to you, but I'm going to be honest and transparent with you that I'm not an expert in these things, and I'm going to need your help. And so that approach, I think, really opened the staff to be able to just say, okay, well, we're going to give this guy a shot, even though he's a newbie to our world and a lot of the things
Right.
that we say. And so, after that, things just kind of skyrocketed. And, we took the approach of, as long as the patients have a great experience from start to finish, we know we're going to grow this practice, and then we'll figure out all of those things in between that actually made it happen so we can replicate it. But we took that approach, and then the location that I took just soared. And so at that point, I think it had been about 4 or 5 years since I had taken on the role, and they said, well, hey, you've done such a great job with this, big flagship location. Do you want to take operations as a whole? Can you mentor and coach the people that are going to be tasked with managing locations to kind of think and act the way that you do? And again, I was like, sure, I'll take it on. I'm not going to tell you that I know everything about, this advanced level world of ophthalmology where I'm going to be able to make these executive type calls, but I'm going to use my ability to connect with people and be able to learn about this business to help us take the next step. So I took that on, which was also very fun and had unique challenges as well. And I'm currently in this role now. And since then, I've just been trying to continue my knowledge in the space, and just how do things that are not necessarily ophthalmology related, when it comes to business concepts, different vendors, different tools that are out there, how can we take that information, bring it into the space, and really make some waves? Because we all know in this world that we consistently face challenges, and especially with having to do more with less. I mean, that's our biggest challenge. And so how do we navigate that? And so I decided, let's say, it was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. I was like, I think I want to go back to school again. And so I went back and got my MBA, and I finished that last year. And that was really cool. A lot of people ask me, why are you getting your MBA and you're already the CEO of a healthcare practice? And I said, well, actually, I want to learn, and I want to learn these tools that give me the ability to make decisions, not just based off my gut, but based off of proven concepts and data. And so it was, the school that I went to was, it's called the Jack Welch Management Institute, and their motto is learn it today, apply it tomorrow. And it was, I literally got to do that every week, because in all my MBA courses, we were taking information, all the different concepts like managerial accounting and all of the leadership courses that I took. And I literally would take those concepts and I would apply it to a business case that same week, and it would work. And I would go back to my cohort and say, hey, tried this, it worked. And so me going through an MBA program at the same time as an executive in ophthalmology practice really gave me the chance to test those things out, where I don't think many other MBA students, or maybe they do, but maybe if you get it at younger in your career and you don't have those chances to test those things out like I did 100% every day. And so that was an awesome experience for me. And I'm really glad that I did it. Just personally, a little bit about me. I'm married to my college sweetheart. We have two young daughters. One just started college this year, and I have another high school junior. And so we're at that phase in life too. We got teenagers, and I'm starting to try to figure out, now when the younger one goes to college, like what am I gonna do with all this time now? And so now I'm considering, like, well, what's the next step? Like I've started to think about maybe potential PhD, because one of my dreams is to be a college professor in some
That's
advanced level
cool.
business school. So I want to do it before I get before my memory's not good enough to actually do it.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's me. I kind of, that's me in a nutshell. I fell into
that's
this
awesome.
space. Obviously I like it. I haven't left, and I haven't left, and I've been with the same organization for the entire time,
Yeah.
which you probably see it's not common. And I know it's not common because I have a lot of people that I know in the industry that move around.
Yep.
So it's been a fun ride for sure.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing all that. What are some of the things from your master's that stand out to you that have kind of prepared you for the leadership role that you have now? Like, what are two or three things that stand out to you that have made a really big impact?
Um, so it was probably one of the early classes. It was a leadership class. There was this article called "Leadership That Gets Results" by Daniel Goleman. It was a Harvard Business Review article. It's pretty old, but it's a really good one, because when I first started as an administrator, sometimes, so when I came in pretty hot, like, pretty hardcore, like, hey,
Yep.
getting on people pretty rough. And because I thought that pushing them was going to get results. And so after I saw pretty quickly that I kind of ran a few people off and it just wasn't the right approach culturally to take, I really took the opposite approach. I was everybody's friend. And, we used to go to happy hours. We would, just really spend a lot of time together.
Mm.
But then I also found, taking that approach, is that I didn't have the respect that I should have had from the employees and the staff, because I was too much of their friend. And so, so then I always struggled with, well, who am I as a leader? Like, why am I a softie, or am I a dictator, or, why can't I figure that out? So it really put it into context for me when I read this article and I took this class, that you really have to dictate your leadership style based on the situation. And it helped me to understand the different markers of each situation and which leadership style would actually work best in that situation. So it kind of validated me in a way to say, okay, well, maybe I'm not wishy-washy. Maybe I was just instinctively, as I started kind of learn what worked and what didn't, that I needed to take a different leadership approach.
Mm.
So I've mentioned that article to some of my managers that are struggling with similar things, trying to figure out how to approach their teams. And I say, there's not a one size fits all approach. Just, you got to really understand, and you have to be emotionally intelligent about the situation, so that you understand how to drive people and how to motivate people. Because at the end of the day, your goal is, yes, it is the result, but you have to figure out how to reach people and motivate people so they can get to that result.
Mm.
So that was a big one. I think another one would be just really understanding business financials, right? Because I think in ophthalmology, there are a lot of great metrics in ophthalmology that some of the industry leaders have put out, and there's different books on it from those consultants that have written books, and I use those. But I think a lot too much, from what I observe in ophthalmology, too many decisions get made based off of their gut.
Mm.
And if people, so learning about financial, an income statement, what is an income statement? What is a balance sheet? What's a cash flow statement? And understanding how those three financial statements work together, and then connecting the dots between clinical operations and where those things fall in our different financial statements, I
Mm.
think really helped to me just kind of bring a 360 view. So now when I coach managers to say, hey, how do you know what your areas of opportunity are and what your areas of success are? Well, you need to go look at the numbers, and then I'm going to explain how those numbers translate to the decision
Mhm.
that you made, so that
Yeah.
they can go back and reverse engineer their decisions, so that they can increase the bottom line and increase EBITDA and all those
Yeah.
things. Because a lot of times people just kind of start fading out, phasing themselves out of this whole all these terms that people throw at them. And when it comes to financial, just financial statement and analysis, and I think breaking it down and learning about all of that helped to just give me a confidence, and then be able to coach that to my team.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's kind of a perfect segue into my next question, which is what made you want to do this podcast with Boost in terms of the business side of ophthalmology?
So this isn't my first go at a podcast. When I first tried it last year, it was actually 22, the end of 22. I did it because I didn't think I would be very good at it, and I definitely wasn't very good at it, and I probably am not still not very good at it. But I'm constantly trying to do things to push my comfort level and get myself out of my comfort zone, and do things that I think I would not be good at, so that I can practice them and try to get a little bit better. And so that was a really great experience to go through that podcast. I think, when we started Collaborate, honestly, one of the biggest reasons is that I wanted to partner, with Boost to do this, because you guys were going to do the heavy lifting and produce it, and I
Right.
could just have fun and talk to people. I
Yep.
mean, honestly, but that's really what I really enjoyed the most about when I started doing that podcast, and now I want to continue this, is because the conversations that I had with all these different cool people, those are the kind of things that I think are just golden, and it goes back to my initial, you know, business strategy of being an amoeba, of just sucking up
Yeah.
knowledge from all the people around you, and that was really fun, and I really hope to do that again, and just bring in a lot of cool people that I know, because there is a ton of people that I've had the opportunity to meet that I respect a ton, and I really can't wait to interview them on the podcast. But I really also want to meet people that I don't know, and just meet different industry experts, and maybe even they're not ophthalmology, maybe there's a different field that applies. One of the things, so, I think it's important to tell you is that, another personal aspect for me is I've been struggling with back problems. I've had multiple surgeries.
Mm.
I had 3 spinal fusions. And so, how do you connect health and your success in the business world? I mean, I definitely have felt it. It really takes a toll on you when when you're dealing with health issues. And I'm praying that I'm on the way out of this. But for the last 2.5 years, I've been dealing with it. And so I had this idea. I was like, I really want to pull in, when I'm out of this thing. Like, I want to pull in somebody in the health field. Maybe it's some type of executive personal trainer, or just type of fitness guru or nutritionist, and say, how how do people really take care of their instrument, which is themselves, that makes them more successful in whatever field they're in. And in our case, is ophthalmology, because we
Mm.
have, like, as an example, we have this one of our cataract surgeons, and he's a LASIK surgeon, but I call him cataract surgeon. He's just a beast. Like, he's got 50 to 60 cataract cases in a day, and if you think about, and he gets amazing results. And if you think about the physical toll that it takes on your body, having to bend and look at those oculars, but he's also a workout fanatic
Mm.
too. So you look at what he's been able to accomplish, and now that translates to success in his field. Those are the kinds of things, the topics that I would really love to talk about, that maybe aren't as talked about.
Yeah.
Things that relate to ophthalmology and what makes us successful, and also borrowing from other industries too.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great thing to do, and I'm really just looking forward to the whole thing and just seeing where it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah. It's really exciting. I love how you shared that. I mean, um, there's plenty of places you can go in the ophthalmology space. to learn what I might call all the clinical type things, right? Like there's just an unlimited number of things that you can go and be a part of, you can listen to, you can read, et cetera, et cetera. I think there are a lot less on the business side of a practice, how to have a healthy practice, whether it's culture, whether it's team, whether it's financials, whether it's operations, patient experience, all those things really, really matter. And I love even what you're sharing about, wellness and how that can absolutely have an impact on the overall health of the practice, not just for physicians, but the entire staff that's involved. So that's really cool. And I'm excited about that. It's interesting you keep talking about just how excited you are to learn from other people. That's really one of the things that inspired us to invite you to host this podcast. We actually we had a sales conversation with you in terms of Boost serving your clinic. And so in kind of prepping for that, we did some research and found some podcasts that you had hosted. And so we listened to several of them and really just kind of enjoyed learning more about the ophthalmology space, even from those interviews. And so no doubt we'll be able to do the same thing as you interview experts in the field on a wide variety of things related to the business side of ophthalmology. So it's really, really exciting. What do you think some of the challenges clinics are facing right now that will be applicable, kind of talking points and kind of deep dives, into in terms of the podcast and guests and some of the things you try to uncover?
I'm sure that a lot of these challenges won't be as a surprise to anybody who's listening to this podcast because it's been this way now for, it seems like, the past few years. But really, it's the cost to operate the business. And I just this morning, I had a conversation with the executive team about pricing our services for next year. And it's really hard. Like, for example, when the price of LASIK hasn't moved in 15, 20 years, it's like, but our costs continue to go up at a 5-10% rate every year, and our profit margins are continue to erode. And so I think those are the biggest challenges. If you think about just healthcare in general, ophthalmology is like, how do you have to keep figuring out how to pull this rabbit out of your hat because our costs continue to go up. And then, with the last few years of just heavy inflation and, a lot of how that translates to food prices, just price of cost of living, a lot of the staff come up to us and I'm sure this is the same, I'm sure in every practice, and say, hey, I need to make more money. I need to make more money. And whenever they come up, they tell the managers, like, I don't blame them. If I'm in their shoes, I'm asking the same question. Like, everybody has to do more, has to figure out how to get more. So that's part of our challenge is how do we balance taking care of our teams and our staff at the same time trying to make decisions that make business sense. That's those are the things. And so how do you answer that question? In my mind, a big piece of that is efficiency. You got to figure out how to do more with what you have, and then how to find cool products that help maybe augment or take things off of a physical person. There's a lot of AI initiatives that are happening in every space, and ophthalmology included.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna take jobs. I think it's gonna make people better. I'm really have a good friend in the space that I hope to be a guest, but he uses that tagline. He's like, I'm going to make your people better. And I agree with him. We got to help people be more efficient so that vision plan claim from VSP that traditionally takes 2 weeks to post in this huge paper, that we can create that as an electronic file and then have that AI bot help file that kind of stuff so that our team can focus on different things and we can do things a lot more efficiently. So efficiency, if that makes sense as far as what practices are facing, and I face those challenges and many of my colleagues do every day. There's a lot more competition in the market and there's a lot more options, and that's why the price of refractive services has remained flat and in some cases are coming down even. And we've seen that the last couple of years, and that's been a huge challenge, especially for big refractive practices or some of the big corporate chains who just do LASIK. I mean, they're hurting big time. At least we're a big cataract practice, so having multi-specialties that you can fall back on when the elective services kind of ride the waves of the economy, I think are important. So we have to identify what are those things that are going to help us move forward, like premium cataract services that are gonna be there, and things that we can really just kind of focus on, which we have done, and help other practices and other people that are in the industry be successful. Because I'm also a firm believer. I don't like to keep secrets. I do tons of I'll get a ton of resource calls from people that are looking into a product, and many times they're in our market. You could say they're competition, but I don't see it that way. I feel like there's enough to go around for all of us, and if we as a specialty give a better experience, and I can help people do that, I feel like that's good. That's good for patients, and also feel like it's good karma. Like I take that approach too. Like I'm always willing to help give advice because I'm hoping that somebody's willing to do the same for me.
Absolutely.
And so I do a lot of that. And that's another reason why I want to do the podcast too, because some of those conversations that I have are just golden. Like it's just to listen to these people and the cool ideas that they have. I'm like, oh man, wow, I never thought of that. And it's really cool. And it'd be cool if it wasn't just us. It'd be cool if everybody heard that, or at least people who listen to the podcast heard that, because a lot of the stuff that people have as an individual, they have these little golden ideas that if we could just combine them all as a specialty, we can be a lot more successful.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay, my last question for you is what can guests expect? I mean, you kind of touched a little bit on, what they can expect even in how you answered that question. But if you were, talking to the audience and kind of letting them know what they could expect in future episodes, what would you share?
You know, I don't want this to be boring. I don't want it to be just another business podcast that just, why am I going to take the time to listen to it? I want it to just be conversations between friends or potential friends.
Yeah.
Kind of like we were sitting in a bar, just having a beer and just hanging out. I mean, that's really what I hope this to be. I even would like to have discussions that are relevant about current issues. Like if something comes up in the industry this week, I might shoot out a message to the network and say, hey, we need to get a couple of people on to talk about this and even debate it, or just bring different ideas into the fold. That's what I want it to be, and we'll see how this whole thing evolves. But I just want to have fun. I wish we were at an actual bar, just having a beer. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be awesome.
We can do it after work, of course, right?
Yeah.
After work. But because I do the same like at AO or ASOA or ASCRS or any other conference I go to. That's one of my favorite times is to hit the show floor and there's usually like a tap room. Okay, I'm starting to sound like alcoholic here, and I'm not.
We all get it.
Yeah. But just pull somebody. We head to the tap room and one of the guys, we have a beer. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, what do you got going on? That's what I really want to recreate that, because those are to me the most genuine conversations that have meaning and that are fun to me, and I'm hoping that it's also fun to the people listening.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Before you know it, you're going to have an episode like Joe Rogan just had with Trump, right? Like I think I just checked it before we started this recording. It's like 34 million views in 2 days. And so who knows, you're going to take the podcast realm by storm.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm going to take the humble approach and say probably not, but let's just see what we get. If we get a fraction of people,
Sure.
or just the people that care about ophthalmology. I mean, that's a small world. And to me, those are diamonds. Those people, the people in this space are. And so if we can get enough people in this space to listen, I think it's going to make a difference and make some waves.
Agree. Well, Guido, we've really enjoyed getting to be friends and excited to support and sponsor the podcast, and excited for your first handful of guests and just going on this journey with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And then, another shout out to Booth for producing this, because I definitely did not want to take on the heavy lifting, and you guys seem to be very efficient at that. So thanks again for helping me with this.
Absolutely. Well, Guido, thanks, man. Have a great rest of your day.
I appreciate it. Thanks.